Most people think every Honda Rebel is a safe buy, a bike you can't go wrong with, and that's exactly how they end up picking the wrong one. Because some Rebels will run forever with almost no effort, and others, they'll slowly turn riding into a chore. In the next few minutes, we're going to show you which Honda Rebel years are the ones to avoid, and the ones that will just keep you smiling and riding. So stay with us for the whole video, because you don't want to waste your hard-earned money on the wrong bike. Section 1. Outdated era. Let's start with the Honda Rebels you need to be careful with and go back a few years. Because on the surface, these older Rebels look like a great deal. We're talking about the early models, roughly mid-80s up through the late 90s. They're cheap, they're simple, and they've got that classic no-nonsense look that a lot of riders love. So you see one listed for a few $1,000s, maybe even less, and you start thinking, why not? Here's why. These bikes weren't bad when they came out. In fact, they were known for being tough, easy to ride, and beginner-friendly. But that was decades ago, and time changes everything. The biggest issue here isn't the engine, it's everything around it. Rubber parts dry out, seals wear down, fuel lines get brittle, and wiring, that's where things get unpredictable. You might get a clean one that runs fine, or you might spend your weekends chasing electrical issues that make no sense. And then there's the carburetor. This is where a lot of owners hit a wall. These older Rebels are carbureted, which means they hate sitting still. If the previous owner parked it for long periods, and let's be honest, a lot of them did, they're dealing with clogged jets, rough starts, and constant adjustments. It's not a one-time fix either. You clean it, it runs better, then it sits again, and the cycle repeats. Now stack that on top of age, because at this point, you're not just buying a motorcycle, you're buying every decision the last owner made, or didn't make. Skipped maintenance, cheap fixes, parts that weren't good enough at the time. That stuff adds up. And here's the part most people don't expect. Even if you get it running right, it still feels old. The brakes are basic, the suspension is soft and outdated, the overall ride just doesn't compare to anything modern. So while it might look like you saved money up front, you end up paying in time, effort, and frustration. And for a lot of riders, that's what pushes them away from riding altogether. That's why this era falls into the outdated category. Not because it was poorly built, but because it simply hasn't kept up. And if you're not ready to wrench, troubleshoot, and deal with the quirks, this is where a cheap Rebel can turn into an expensive lesson. Section 2. Underpowered. Rebel 300 early years. This next one catches a lot of riders off guard, because at first glance, it feels like Honda finally nailed it. In 2017, the Rebel got a full redesign, new look, modern components, fuel injection, way more appealing than the old models. And because of that, a lot of people jumped in fast, especially with the Rebel 300. It's light, it's affordable, it feels easy the moment you sit on it. For newer riders, that's a huge win. Everything about it says you can handle this, and at low speeds, that's true. Around town, it's smooth, traffic feels manageable, nothing about it feels intimidating. But once you leave the city, that's when the limits show up. You roll on the throttle expecting more pull, and it just kind of flattens out. Getting up to speed takes longer than you want. Holding higher speeds feels strained instead of effortless. And passing, that's something you start thinking twice about. Not because the bike can't do it, but because it doesn't have much extra to give. That's where the frustration starts to build. It's not a reliability problem, the engine itself is dependable. Honda built it to last. But longevity isn't the issue here, it's capability. Most riders don't stay in that beginner zone for long. You gain confidence, you start riding farther, you want more flexibility on the road. And that's when the 300 begins to feel limited. What once felt comfortable now feels restrictive. And here's the part that hits the hardest. A lot of people buy this bike thinking they're making the smart choice. Lower cost, lower power, easier to manage. But a few months down the line, they're already thinking about replacing it. Now they're dealing with resale, another purchase, and all the hassle that comes with switching bikes. That's where the real cost shows up. Not up front, but later. Now to be fair, this bike does have its place. If you're staying local, riding short distances and want something simple to move around on, it can work just fine. But for most riders, it ends up being something they move on from sooner than expected. And that's why these early Rebel 300 years land in this category. Not because they're poorly made, but because they don't give you enough room to grow. And that's a mistake you only notice after you've already made it. If you're enjoying this video thus far, take a second to hit that like button. And if you already own a Rebel, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. We're interested in knowing what your experience has been so far. Also, save this video if you want to take a look again later. And share this with someone who might be shopping around for their next bike. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And when you're done with this video, head over to the channel page and check out the other videos on your favorite motorcycles. Section 3. The beginner dump years, where good bikes go bad. This is the one almost nobody talks about, because on paper, these Rebels should be a safe buy. We're talking roughly early 2000s into the early 2010s. Same simple engines, same proven design. Nothing flashy, but nothing obviously wrong either. So what's the problem? It's not the bike, it's what happens to the bike. See, the Rebel has always been a beginner favorite, which means a huge percentage of these bikes follow the same life cycle. Someone buys it to learn, rides it for a few months, maybe a year, then something changes. They upgrade, or they lose interest, or life just gets busy. And the bike? It sits. Weeks turn into months, months turn into years. Fuel breaks down, gums up the system, the inside of the tank starts to age, and without regular use, things don't stay healthy. Now fast forward to today. That same bike shows up for sale. Low miles, clean title, looks like a great deal, but what you're really looking at is a machine that hasn't been properly exercised in a long time. And that creates a different kind of problem. Cold starts become unpredictable, throttle response feels uneven, little issues start popping up that don't seem connected, but they all trace back to neglect. And here's what makes this tricky. You might not notice it right away. The bike might run fine during a quick test ride, but once you start using it regularly, that's when the hidden problems begin to surface. Now you're chasing small fixes, cleaning parts, replacing things that should have been maintained earlier, and it adds up faster than expected. Not because the Rebel is unreliable, but because it wasn't taken care of the way it should have been. That's the difference. And here's the part most buyers miss. Low miles doesn't always mean better. In fact, with these bikes, it can mean the opposite. A well-ridden Rebel that's been maintained properly, that's usually the safer bet, because it's been kept alive, used the way it was meant to be used. So when you're looking at Rebels from this period, you're not just evaluating the machine, you're evaluating its history, how often it was ridden, how it was stored, whether it was actually maintained or just parked. And if you don't pay attention to that, you can end up with a bike that looks like a deal, but slowly turns into a list of things you didn't plan on fixing. Section 4. The quiet sweet spot, where Honda finally got it right. Here's where things finally start to make sense. After years of small tweaks and holding on to the same formula, Honda reached a point where everything came together. The 2010 to 2016 Rebels might not grab your attention right away, they don't look radically different, they don't scream for attention, but once you actually ride one, you start to notice the difference. By this stage, Honda had already spent decades refining this platform, so instead of changing everything, they focused on making it better. The engine is still that simple 234cc single cylinder, nothing fancy, but it's proven. These are the kind of engines that regularly go 20,000, 30,000 miles and beyond with basic maintenance. Oil changes, chain care, that's about it. And more importantly, it runs the way you expect it to. Starts are more consistent, throttle response is smoother. You're not dealing with the same unpredictable behavior that showed up in older versions. And yes, it still uses a carburetor, but by this point, it's a much more sorted system. If it's been taken care of, it doesn't constantly demand your attention. It just does its job. That alone changes the ownership experience. And it's not just about the engine. The whole bike feels more put together. The ride is more controlled. The input feels tighter. Nothing feels loose or unfinished. It keeps that lightweight, easy to manage feel, but now there's a level of refinement that wasn't there before. And that's what makes this period stand out. It's simple without feeling outdated. Affordable without feeling stripped down. Approachable without feeling like something you'll outgrow right away. That balance is hard to find. And Honda quietly nailed it here. There's also something interesting happening in the market with these bikes. They tend to get overlooked. Buyers either jump to the newer models or go much older to save money. So this middle ground gets skipped. Which means if you find one that's been cared for, you're getting a version of the Rebel that's already been fully figured out, without paying extra for the newer redesign, and without dealing with the age-related issues from earlier years. That combination is rare. For a lot of riders, this ends up being the bike that finally delivers what they expected from the beginning. It starts when it should, runs the way it should, and rides without unnecessary hassle. And once you experience that kind of consistency, it's hard to settle for anything less. Section 5. The modern upgrade, where Rebel became effortless. Think about this for a second. What if you could take everything frustrating about older Rebels and just remove it? That's exactly what Honda did in 2017. This wasn't a small update, this was a complete reset. New frame, new styling, new engine platforms, and most importantly, a completely different ownership experience. The moment you get on one of these newer Rebels, you feel it. Hit the starter, it fires up instantly. No choke, no warm-up routine, no guessing. That's fuel injection doing its job. And if you ever dealt with a carb on a cold morning, you already know how big of a deal that is. The engine's changed too. You've got that 286cc in the 300 and the 471cc parallel twin in the 500. Both are smooth, predictable, and easy to ride. But here's the real difference. They feel modern. Throttle response is clean, power delivery is steady. Everything reacts the way you expect it to. No hesitation, no weird behavior. Just twist and go. And let me ask you this. How much is that peace of mind worth when you're heading out for a ride? Because for a lot of riders, that's the difference between riding more or finding excuses not to. Then there's the braking. ABS became standard, which means when conditions aren't perfect, you've got that extra layer of control. It's something you don't think about until you need it, and when you do, you're glad it's there. The overall feel of the bike took a big step forward too. Lower seat height around 27 inches, lightweight, balanced chassis, you feel planted, not awkward. Everything works together in a way the older bikes never quite managed. And here's where it really stands out. These bikes don't ask much from you. You don't have to be mechanically inclined, you don't have to figure it out, you just ride. That simplicity is what makes this generation so strong. It removes the friction, the small annoyances, the things that slowly wear people down over time. Instead, it gives you a bike that fits into your life, instead of demanding attention from it. And for most riders, that's exactly what they've been looking for all along. Section 6. The one that just won't quit. Rebel 500 Sweet Spot. Let's be real for a second. If you had to pick one Rebel, one that you could buy, ride for years, and not second guess, which one would actually hold up? This is where the Rebel 500 separates itself. Because this isn't just a good beginner bike, it's a bike people keep, and that's saying everything. Underneath, you've got a 471cc parallel twin, same platform Honda uses across multiple models. Which means one thing, it's been tested, over and over again. This isn't some experimental setup, it's a proven engine that riders regularly push past 40,000, even 50,000 miles with basic care. Oil changes, chain maintenance, ride it. That's the formula, and it works. But here's what really matters. It doesn't feel like a bike you'll outgrow. You've got enough power to handle highways without thinking twice. Passing feels easy, cruising feels relaxed, you're not ringing the throttle just to keep up. And at the same time, it's not intimidating. Power comes on smoothly, predictably. So whether you're newer to riding or coming back after a break, it meets you where you are and grows with you. That's rare. Let me ask you something. How many bikes can actually do both? Be easy on day one and still feel right years later? That's why so many riders skip the 300 and go straight here. Because this is the version that sticks. And then there's the ownership side. This is where it really shines. Fuel injected, low maintenance, strong part support. You're not hunting for solutions, you're just riding. That peace of mind changes everything. You ride more, you think less, you stop worrying about what if something goes wrong, because most of the time, nothing does. And that's the whole point. At the end of the day, this is the Rebel that checks all the boxes. Power, simplicity, durability, and a track record that backs it up. So if you're trying to avoid the mistakes we talked about earlier, this is the one that makes the decision easy. Buy it, ride it, and forget about it. Because this is the Rebel that just keeps going. At the end of the day, the Honda Rebel isn't a bad bike. It's just easy to pick the wrong version if you don't know what to look for. Some years demand more effort than they're worth, while others simply let you ride and enjoy the experience. The difference comes down to choosing the one that fits how you actually plan to use it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button so more riders see it. Drop a comment and let us know which Rebel is your favorite. Save this or share it with someone who's shopping for a bike right now. And if you want more straight-to-the-point videos like this, subscribe. When you're done with this video, head over to the main channel page and check out the other videos on your favorite motorcycles. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.